Hi, and welcome to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. Join us for interviews, updates and chat with artists, influencers and those that manufacture the gear that we love. Hello and welcome to 9 to 42, which is the podcast from the guys at the Guitar Show UK. And it's been such a long time since we did this that I don't know if either of us can remember how the hell we proceed from here. But I will start by saying, good afternoon, Jace, how are you?
I'm all right, but we need to change the intro.
Why?
Because it's now the Guitar Show and the Bass Show.
Oh, have I really got to do it again?
No, but from now on.
We've got to change it.
Yeah, because I've got a bass show now as well.
Yeah, but it doesn't scan.
I don't care.
Oh, you're letting marketing getting in the way of good entertainment here.
It's about balance, mate.
Is it really? Have you got an all BBC on me?
Well, if I do the bass thing, I've got to do the bass thing properly.
Right, okay. Even though we're talking to a bassist today.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact is that we've gone for a bassist on the show, but I've still got to put the bass thing in next time round when we do the intro.
Yeah, because now it's called the Guitar Show, the Bass Show.
Right, okay. In which case then, let's bring our guest in at this point and not do our bit of bants, just to get her opinion on that. Daisy Pepper, who's with us, and is a bass player.
I am indeed.
Should I be having to change this title now to include the bass show, just to make people like you feel a bit better about yourself?
A little bit, yeah, I think so. It's nice to feel recognised. You know, we get put at the back of the stage most of the time and sometimes ignored, forgotten about. I mean, I didn't know a bass existed, really, until I started learning, so it's nice to have a little bit of recognition.
See?
I'm not getting anywhere with this, am I?
No,
I'm sorry, you're the odd one out here.
No. Normally, when I put it to a guest, I get a bit of support.
Oh, not from me. I stand up for what's right.
Right. In which case, I will promise everybody that I will now spend a bit of time making sure I can make the intro flow with the bass show added in for the next time round, and just forgive me for today.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you a lot.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. So, Daisy, we met this year at the guitar. We all met at the Guitar Show this year.
Did,
well,
yes.
actually, we've now worked out you didn't meet Jason.
No.
No.
Jason was somewhere behind the scenes probably panicking about something or organising something.
Yes. It's like a constant series of sorting out problems. When you've got, I think I've got about 140 exhibiting companies.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and none of the problems are major, really. The biggest problem I had this year was that we didn't know, but the venue had turned the wrong power supply on for the bass room.
Oh.
So on the Friday, every time the boys from Ashdown plugged something in, it tripped the entire room. So we had to pay for an electrician to come out. So I had to pay like 350 quid for an electrician to come out, to walk up to the box and go, it's on the wrong setting, click, and it worked.
Oh my goodness. How did no one try that? I mean, why would you? Because you don't really want to cause an issue, but that's crazy.
I wouldn't mind, but it was the venue's fault and they charged me.
Yeah, why are you paying? Taking out the invoice.
Because you're the guy earning the big bucks, Chase, that's why.
Absolutely, mate, yeah.
You wish.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, back to where we were. So Daisy and I met because you were playing the live stage.
Yes.
Obviously, you didn't get to meet Jace, but that's the first time we'd actually. So ahead of this call, first time we've actually met, and you came and nailed that live stage like you'd been doing it for years.
Thank you. I mean, I'll be completely honest. That was the most nervous I've been for a performance since I probably started 5 years ago. I think because that was my first time. Is it my first time? Or one of my first few times, apart from doing like grade exams or something, where I was on stage on my own with a microphone and a bass. And all I had was the music and myself. So there wasn't really anything to hide behind. Whereas when you're performing with your band or you're doing session work, I haven't even got a microphone most of the time. So I can just kind of clear my throat or have my little moments of daydreaming all to myself with no one even watching me. So to do that in a room full of people on my own was extremely terrifying. But I just got through it, and it was an extremely fun experience. I would do it over and over again a million times. It was really, really fun. And it was a lovely group of people. I had such a great day that day. Everyone was so nice. The community was awesome. It was so chilled. I mean, I don't know what the guitar room was like. I went in there for approximately 15 minutes and I left. I was so overstimulated. I went in when the bell had rung for everyone to stop playing, and I was overstimulated, and then they rung it to everyone to start again. And I said to my partner, I was like, we've got to go. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the bass room. This is why I'm a bassist.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the venue that obviously runs like hundreds of different events all year round, you know, people like me just hire it. They have said for the last couple of years that the guitar show, bass show audience is the nicest audience that they get at the venue.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, honestly.
Like, everybody is so chill and so nice. And I was like, yes.
It felt great. Like, there was no... If I went to a booth and, you know, had a chat with a brand or something, or if I was jamming on something, there was never a judgmental bone in anyone's body, or there was never any, like, hostility, or everyone was just really relaxed and easy to talk to, regardless if they were just, you know, people coming as regular bystanders or people in brands. Everyone was just so easy and approachable. Even the, you know, more well-known bassists and guitarists that were lingering around, they were still just happy to have a chat with you.
Yeah,
it was really lovely.
I think one of the things that I wanted to get done when I've been doing music shows for a really long time, like 20 odd years. And I used to work for the NEC doing like a big show and blah, 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 got my own. And it was like, there's always a desire from the industry to not to pick on Steve Vai, but to book someone like Steve Vai. But the thing is, 99.9% of people can't do what Steve Vai does. So I think that's it's quite demoralising when you sit and watch those. I mean, a few people would go, oh, that's what I aspire to do. But most people go, oh, I might as well go home and burn mine. I'm never going to do that. And it was like, well, that's not the point. You don't have to be like Steve Vai. I mean, you know, most of the artists I like are miles away from Steve Vai, but they just play songs on guitars, you know.
Exactly. I mean, I was very thankful, and it was extremely humbling to have been offered the slot in the first place. I mean, it was very nice to be trusted by Robert Barnes and Mullins, who put me forward for it. And I think what helped with it was I had a later on slot, so I kind of had the whole day to, you know, meet the people that I was possibly going to be playing to, and just meeting the people that were there really helped me relax, because I was like, they're all just people like me, to be honest. There's no scary part about this. I mean, I was still extremely nervous, and I was literally shaking in the microphone. My hand was wobbling, which I've not experienced for a really long time, so I had no idea how to deal with that. But I still managed. But when I was preparing for it, I spent weeks and weeks trying to figure out what I was going to do, because I don't really feel like I'm in the position to talk to people about how they should improve their playing and stuff like that. And I don't think people necessarily want to sit and listen to me yap about that for an hour or however long I was on stage 4. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go straight back to basics. It's been a long day. I'll just play everyone my band's songs, which are, you know, they're not groundbreaking or anything crazy in terms of technique or structure or anything. They're just standard pop, rock, blues songs that are easy listening. And I thought people might actually just appreciate having a jam at the end of the day. And I think it was a good call to make, because everyone was just so pooped by the end of the day. And it was such a great vibe. So it felt really good to just play my band's music and just jam bass lines live and really zone into the playing. And it was helpful that Spectre and Aguilar were there, so I had, you know, a familiar tone, and it just worked out so nicely. And everyone was just so lovely about the songs and the playing, which was really, really, really nice to hear. I'm so glad I did it. It was so much fun.
Because I do like solo gigs occasionally. It's just me and say acoustic guitar, sometimes it's an electric guitar, but it is just me and a guitar. And I'm not
Just to clarify, Jace, when you do a solo gig, it's just you.
just me.
Yeah, just
But-
putting that out there for anybody who was a
audience.
bit confused at that point.
All right. Cough.
Like I got you back a little bit there.
I find I don't mind the playing of the songs and the singing of the songs. It's the talking in between.
That.
Yep. I run through it for weeks in my head, and it's kind of weird. Like you go to a gig and you watch these like seasoned performers on stage, and they're talking to you as if it's absolutely nothing. And like I swear to you, like I can feel my leg shaking.
Literally.
But when I've asked people afterwards, they go, "No, I didn't notice anything." I think it's like some weird internal shake rather than external.
Yeah, it's like you can feel it in your voice a little bit, but you can feel it, but no one can hear it. And it's really
Yeah.
bizarre thing. I had the exact same experience that day. I had a whole sheet of paper in front of me that I prepared with a little bit of writing, talk about this, discuss this. I didn't do a single bit of that. I didn't discuss any of it. I didn't look at it once, I don't think, apart from just to remind myself what songs I picked to actually play. I didn't follow it because my brain just went to mush and I just didn't know what. I was like, I'm just going to do what I'm good at and play. If I'm not going to talk and I'm not comfortable talking, I don't have to. So I gave up on that. I think the 10th of the way in.
Right. So, firstly, you wouldn't have known. Bear in mind, I was stood obviously next
Yeah, you
to
were there.
and you absolutely wouldn't have known. I think
Amazing.
Bizarrely, that's the bit I like the most. Actually, I like not knowing what I'm going to say next when I do things like that. So actually, those bits I find actually the enjoyable bits. But
Interesting.
if you take somebody like, and I have this on authority, that when McCartney does when he goes out and plays, that he has the same patter every night.
Right.
And he learns it as a script. And that's fine, provided somebody only goes to see him once, because it sounds relatively natural and he knows what he's going to say and he delivers it well because he's already thought it through. But obviously, I've had people say to me, I went to see this artist and I saw them 3 times on the same tour and it was the same pattern. And actually, by the end, I was quite disappointed by that because then there was nothing about that performance that wasn't rehearsed. And actually,
it feels robotic, doesn't it?
Yeah, I want a bit of it that isn't rehearsed. I want a bit of it that's natural. And actually, I'm as everybody who listens to this knows, I'm a big Marillion fan. I've seen Marillion loads of times. The best times I've seen the band are when something goes wrong. You remember the bits where something breaks, or they collapse laughing, or they get a song that they've been playing for 15 years wrong. Those are the bits that actually are the bits that the fans really quite go for. Not that you've got anything wrong.
I appreciate that. But I do agree, though. I think these days people appreciate realism more. There's a lot of fake that can be made on the internet these days, and I think we're faced with a lot of lack of humanity when it comes to you're just scrolling endlessly online. So doing these events just re-adds that realism, that human element to these performances. And you chuck someone like me on stage on my own, you're gonna hear all the bum notes, you're gonna hear all of the wobbles. You might not. If you didn't, then fantastic. That means I'm semi good at my job. But if you did, I wouldn't mind it. I'd kind of almost be a bit relieved, because I'm human and I can't play perfectly 100% of the time, and equally I have voice cracks. I stumble on my words, and the reason I'm a bassist is because I don't do public speaking really all that often. But it was nice to submerge myself in that experience and just kind of do it and force myself to do that. And I was very proud of myself, and my partner recorded a lot of it for me, and I feel like I got some really nice photos back as well from solo bass Steve. He took some really lovely photos of me, and it was just, I made some lovely friends, and the people, the comments I was getting after it, people being like, "Oh, were you just on stage?" I was like, "Yeah," and they're kind of almost shocked that I'm just a regular person. Like they're kind of like, did you just do that? Like, yeah, I did actually. I don't know how, but I did. And here I am. I'm alive still. The ground didn't swallow me up yet.
Oh well, I'll mention it to Steve. We have this almost every working day at about 11 o'clock, I'm in this little WhatsApp group with Steve and John McIver, who used to be the editor of Bass Guitar magazine.
Yeah.
About 11 o'clock every day, it fires up for about 15 minutes of like a million messages and then just stops again when we all go back to work. But I was in rehearsal room a couple of weeks ago, so it wasn't 11 o'clock in the morning. This was like 9 o'clock at night. It fired up. And obviously I haven't got my phone with me when I'm in the rehearsal room. And I came out and I got into the car and I looked at my phone and I got 126 messages. And it was just Steve and Joel naming bass players and going, nice guy, twat. You know, it was just this huge list.
Nice.
It was like 126 messages of it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I love that. He was one of the nicest guys I met on that day. He was hilarious. And just, again, like, I just got there and I think he was the first person I kind of bumped into. I didn't know who he was, I'll be honest. I'm really bad with that kind of stuff and names and everything, which is why I really was excited to go to an event like this, is to broaden my horizons and see who is current, who is out there. And he was the first person, him and his son, I think, who I bumped into. And just immediately like, hey, lovely to meet you, handshake. And I just felt so welcome. And then I saw that he was performing, and so we had like a little chat about that. And yeah, just again, people were just so lovely. And you know, seeing my name, I mean, when I first got there and I saw the poster of the schedule, seeing my name on that was insane. I couldn't have even imagined doing something like that years ago, and it's just so crazy. Like I said, I'd do it over and over again, but it was so crazy just seeing my name written there and the realism of like, oh, I'm about to actually perform at a convention. Like, this is my first time at a convention and I'm performing at it.
Oh, you'll be doing NAMM before you know it.
I hope so. That'd be nice.
Oh, just have a word with Barnes and Mullins. I'm sure they can take you over.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, aiming high for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose that gives us a good point. So how long have you been playing?
So coming up in 2 days' time, I will have been playing for 10 years, which is not all that long for me because I only started at I'm 24, 14. I couldn't do maths then. I was like, did I start at 13? No, I was 14. Yeah, so I started, I guess, in terms of compared to where else people start, fairly later on in my life, I guess. People assume that I've been playing since I was like a baby, which is very lovely, but I haven't. But 10 years coming up in 2 days, and it's a very quick 10 years. 5 of those professionally, which is even more crazy.
It's incredible. So before we get onto the professional stuff, because there's COVID in the middle of that as well, which obviously must have messed things up.
Ugh.
But so I think 14 is probably about the normal age to start.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I was 13, 14 when I got.
It's mixed, isn't it? Because I started guitar at 6 and then I gave up. And then I started guitar a little bit earlier as well. So I feel like I had like a weird stagnated kind of journey with it. But it's totally mixed depending on who I talk to. They're like, whoa, that's late. And I'm like, is it? I don't know. And then some people think it's really early. But I mean, truthfully, there's never a right or wrong time to learn. You just do it, don't you? So I guess that argument's kind of out the window.
I would say it's definitely easier to learn when you're a teenager because you've got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Having tried to teach mates that have been in their 30s and 40s, it's impossible because you go, oh, did you learn what I taught you last week? And they go, no, mate, honestly, because I'd got like swimming club on Tuesday for the little ones, and then I was this and this and this.
Yeah,
and it's
there's
just
a lot
like,
more factors involved, isn't there?
Yeah. So I think that having time as a teenager is the best thing. So you start at 14.
Yeah.
So how do you start at 14? What did you just kind of say? Of like a bass guitar, please?
Kind of. I went to an all-girls school for my secondary school, and we had a music teacher there who one day just started a bass club to try. He played bass and started a club to try and get more girls into playing bass guitar. And at that point, I had no idea what a bass guitar was. For some reason, I've always been into rock music, but I've gone my whole life not really acknowledging the existence of a bass guitar. I just had never thought about it. I don't know why. So I was like, what? A bass guitar? What is this? So I joined it because I was really into music, always loved music, loved my music lessons. Went along to the club. There was like 4 or 5 of us in it, using the schools, you know, the janky bass guitars that were always lingering in the music rooms. And he just sort of said to me, he was like, you're actually like picking this up really quickly. You're kind of a natural at it. You should definitely like actually do this. So that night I went and bought a bass and just did it. I needed something to be good at, and I got given validation and ran with it so far that it's now my job, which is hilarious.
Did you do the tried and trusted route of buying an absolute dog of a first instrument?
I actually didn't. My first bass was an Ibanez SR series, so it wasn't super high end, but it was about the time it was like £300-400. So not, you know, super low end, you know, the ones you get on Amazon that will fall apart, but enough that it still sounded good. It was good to learn on, and did all the metal rock stuff that I wanted it to do. I was in my real deep emo phase at that point, so I was learning all of the Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance and stuff, so I needed the ability to drop tune and everything. I was exploring that from ridiculously early on, which is so funny. You should not down tune a 4-string to drop B on standard strings, but I did it anyways because that's part of the process. It's part of the fun.
So how old were you when COVID kicked in then? 19?
Yeah, so it was 2020, wasn't it? So yeah, I would have it was literally the week after my birthday, so I just turned 19. And at that point I had just left college, so I went to college to study music performance and production because I didn't want to do A-levels. At that point with school I wanted to do computer stuff, but you had to do like maths A-levels and all that, and that is not me. So I wanted to do music, but as well it's all sort of classical based music. A-level isn't really for a bassist. So I looked at my options, went to a college and did a BTEC in music performance and production, and then just as I completed that with all distinctions because I tried so ridiculously hard at it, and I was like, I need to ace this for my own sake. And as soon as I left it, yeah, we went straight into all the lockdowns and everything, which I'd argue was the biggest blessing in my sort of career because it came just at the right time of figuring out what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I've been through your YouTube channel, and the videos kind of start like 4.5 years ago. So
yeah,
I was like, oh, it was this, in much the same way that this podcast was a lockdown thing.
Yeah.
Was the YouTube channel your lockdown thing?
It was, yeah. I was working at a full-time job in a music shop, and I was already kind of at a point where I can't do this forever. I need to figure out what my niche is. And then obviously all that happened, working from home / got furloughed eventually, and I had all this time. I was at home, I had my computer here, literally sat right where I am right now, and just thought, what am I doing? Everyone's doing all this stuff online. I want to do that. So I thought, what better time with all this extra added time in my life? I might as well start an Instagram, start posting. That started kicking off a little bit. I was gaining a fair few followers. I had my cameras, my DSLRs. I was, set them up, record full length videos and then shorter videos for Instagram, and I was just experimenting with it all. I don't know what my mindset was behind it. I didn't necessarily intend for it to go this far, but I mean, I did, but I never actually thought it could work. And then I started the YouTube thing, and then it was about June. I started in June, and then September I had my first semi-viral video go out with a Muse Hysteria cover, and that just skyrocketed straight away to 1 million views. Which was crazy at the time because it was kind of before TikTok was massive and Instagram Reels weren't even a thing at that point. And then by that point, I had, people actually asking me for gigs. It was getting me gigs. It was getting me session work. People were starting to follow me on Patreon, and I was starting to actually get a bit of a fan base going. It was very, very weird time. So yeah, that lockdown section was very beneficial to me. I had so much time and I put so much energy into it. It was like my full-time job. I wasn't earning anything, but I was getting a furlough payment anyways. And then my viral video went out in September, and then by October I quit my job because I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this full-time. I'm going to full send bass player. And I did that, and I'm still doing it somehow. So it's worked out pretty nicely.
So was the social media then, at that point in time, did you think that was going to be it as an income stream, or did you always think that the social media was just actually the greatest window you could have to basically get session work or get band work or get live work?
Yeah, it was like the window for me. I kind of treated it like my online portfolio in a way, because rather than writing an actual portfolio, I thought, why don't I just send people to my Instagram or to my YouTube channel? And that seemed to start working. I started having people actually reach out to me saying like, we want you on our live sessions, or we want you in this and that, and started getting people offering me tours and as their bassist. And yeah, it became a window, and I never really intended for it to be my main income stream. But as the world has shifted and everything's becoming a lot more social media based, it's becoming my main income stream, aside from, you know, the teaching sides that I've taken up as well, and the gigs. It's like an extra little flow, which is really nice. So yeah, it's kind of worked out to be both in a way, but my intention was to just use it as a portfolio, really.
There's so many people, I guess, around that time, probably a little bit earlier as well, where then got trapped in the social media thing, but the social media thing then became everything, because it became all consuming. And then actually, for those people who were performers and songwriters and musicians actually doing the other things, actually going out and making an album or going out doing a tour, then actually almost became hard, because the income was coming from what is a very, I don't want to say monotonous, but the routine of making content it never lets up, does it?
No, it's constant. And if you take a break, that's it. Like you have to work to get it back again. It is really constant, and it's like a full-time job in itself if you really want it to be. You know, companies and all that hire social media managers these days because it's so full on. You can't work other jobs and do it at the same time. You have to be, if you want to be a gigging musician, you have to be your own manager, your own social media manager, the performer, everything all in one these days. And it's a lot. Like it's really intense, and it's so, I mean, I wasn't a musician before all the COVID stuff, so I don't actually know what that was like, but I can imagine it was a lot less intense. Like there is so much pressure these days to sell tickets online. You know, if you are in contact with a promoter, they are on at you to promote it more than they are. Like you have to share it, you have to do this, you know, you have to be a full-time social media manager as part of your job these days. And it's really full on, it's really intense, and it's a lot to think about when you're trying to, you know, do the gig, and you're doing the gig thinking about what content can I grab while I'm doing the gig. Like that's so not normal. That's weird.
I used to teach for BIM, and
Right.
I used to do a module that was about the live music industry, and like we'd spend a week talking about what a promoter does, and it amuses me endlessly that their job title is what they're supposed to do, and yet I've never met one that actually promotes. Like, can you do this? Can you do this? What are you? I might as well hire the venue myself.
You're totally right. You're totally spot on. And I think that it depends, truthfully, if I'm being completely honest, it's a massive age difference thing as well. I think we need a new refresh of younger promoters that understand what you have to do to sell tickets these days. Because a lot of the promoters I've ever had sort of those issues with, where they're not actually doing much of the promoting themselves, their idea of the promoting is doing like one Facebook post and assuming that it's going to do its rounds. Yeah. But it's not enough. You have to do that Facebook post across all platforms multiple times in a day to sell your gig out. That's the reality of it. But they're not caught up to that. No. So I think we need like just either a re-education in it, or, you know, entry of new younger promoters that are, want to put that energy into it. It's like I said, it's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, well, don't you worry. My ex-students will be out there promoting like mad.
I can't wait to meet them. We need that.
Or to be fair, just abolish the role altogether.
Yeah, honestly, there's a it's either have it or don't have it, and I think sometimes you're better off not having it because you end up having that you get asked to do it anyways. They literally will message you being like, "Can you share it again?" And it's like, "Okay, well, so can you though."
Yeah, in that time it's taking you to message me, you could have posted it across all platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. So, rather than me spend the next hour discussing how broken the music industry actually is, so you've got this shop window, and then sort of going through your social media and stuff, you've got Laura Evans and you've got The Cut
Yes.
with Maha, who used to be a colleague of mine at BIM.
Yes, I actually did a talk at BIM. That was the weirdest part about my journey, is she got me in to do a talk about my social media stuff at BIM. And I thought about going to BIM way back after college, only briefly, but I ultimately decided that uni's just not for me. But I think I had a real weird thing about it of, do I go and study this instrument further, or do I just chuck myself in the deep end and learn on the job? And I'm very glad I did, because it's put me in this position. I don't know where I'd be if I had gone to uni. But there was something so weird about going and doing a talk at the uni I thought about going to, but I never went to. There was something so funny about that to me.
Yeah, to be honest, as someone who taught online throughout COVID, because obviously the building was shut and everything, and you'd have been, when you finished your college course, you'd have gone to BIM during COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
It was horrible. It was horrible
imagine.
for the students. It was horrible for the staff. It's really hard to teach on Zoom.
Yeah, music it's a real thing. Like you need to be able to play with people. You need to be able to make eye contact with your drummer as a bassist. I mean, yeah, literally just as a bassist, there's so many elements of you need to be in that room feeling the music. And that's across all instruments as well. And I'm so glad I didn't do it, because I wouldn't have managed, because I feel music so literally. It wouldn't have worked. Like, I need to be in a room with people, interacting with the musicians around me, having those moments, you hit a wrong note and you'll laugh together, or something goes wrong. The things that make music so beautiful and happy and great, you can't experience that during a time like that. And I think it just would have been the worst thing ever for me. So I'm so glad I didn't do it. But
the semester that we were allowed back in, I can't remember when it was, 18 months into COVID or something like that. I was in a lecture hall that held 80, I think, but we were actually only allowed no more than 8 in it at any one time, and like all the seats had been removed, and there were just seats on exits, and it was such a weird thing. And the problem is that like sometimes you had to do the same lecture 3 times in a day because you couldn't get all the students into a space at the same time.
It's like weird looking back, isn't it? I don't remember much of it, I think, just because nothing really happened. But like, it's weird that it happened. Like, that was a reality, and we all got through it eventually somehow. But it can't happen again. It just cannot, because like, how did we manage? Like, how, as a musician, how do you manage that scenario? You can't interact with other musicians, and you're having to do things like that where you're teaching the same lesson 3 times over because you can't get everyone in one class. It's like the opposite problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very weird. So how did The Cut came about with Maha?
That was a recommendation. I think she needed a bassist for a Hard Rock Hell gig, and obviously she runs her collective. And I happened to be free, and I got recommended by Shelley, who's the guitarist of a band called Joan of Arc, who I've done a lot of gigs with. Their bassist, their original bassist, was my first ever bass teacher, which is so funny because now I do gigs with them, and it's like weird how the world, again, just my bass journey's been just so weird, and I've just had a lot of cool experiences like that, being able to just jam alongside the person that literally taught me my first few things of knowledge on bass. Really, really cool. And it's got me really cool gigs like The Cut. I mean, even Laura Evans. I did one session down in Plymouth at a recording studio called Momentum Studios, and the studio engineer recommended me from that job to another job, and then now I'm still gigging with Laura 3 years later. So it's all just word of mouth, really. Most gigs I get are all just, do you know a bassist? Yeah, I do actually, and then they send me their way.
Which is the way it's supposed to be. I used to say to students all the time, look, the first rule of the music business is don't be a dick. Because if you turn up on time and you do the job, you don't have to be the best musician in the world, but you have to be someone people are prepared to hang with who can get the job done.
Exactly that. Yeah, just being a decent person, turning up and doing your job right, causing little to no fuss. I mean, that's the best way I've found that I've retained jobs, is just causing as little fuss as possible, almost being like the elephant in the room. You just turn up, you do your thing, and then that's it. And you do get rehired from it, and you get good things said about you because you do what you're hired to do, turn up and do a great job at the end of the day. And I think that's absolutely how it should be.
So how does I hadn't really realised that you played with Laura, who is someone whose music I've been listening to for, I think Chris Buck might have introduced me to her.
Wow, amazing.
Like years ago, because you did a session with Chris, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there's a live session. We jammed one of her songs, and then the other one was a Chris Stapleton cover. So I met him at that studio in Cardiff. And yeah, that was, again, just things like that is someone recommending you something, and then I'm on that, and it's funny, very funny. So
how do you go? You finish college, you sit in your house for 2 years, and then seemingly you're touring Europe with Laura. How was that for you?
It's weird. It's like I'm actively living my dream, but I never had a specific dream or goal. I'm very much anti-goal in a way, because I don't want to write a plan in my head so specific that I'm gutted that it doesn't happen. So I'm like, in an ideal world, I'd love to be, touring. I'd love to be playing stadiums, arenas, or pubs. I'll take anything, to be honest. In an ideal world, but I won't say, I want to be playing this genre by this time, etc., because I don't really want to write my future for me. But it is very weird to, go from kind of being like, I'd love to be a full-time musician one day, and then that one day is like less than a year later. Really weird. And I think you just kind of have to give yourself the ultimatum and be like, this is going to happen for me. I'm going to make this happen. I don't know how. And letting the universe do its work. It's all just started from putting out one bit of content on the internet, and you never know who is going to see that content. Even if you get 500 views, 500 people is still a lot, and you have no idea who is in that one of 500. You just have no clue. So in these days, everyone's on their phone. So if you're wondering whether you should start posting or something, literally just do it. Even if it's awful quality, if you don't have a camera, you don't have a setup. My first video, I cropped my head out, and it was just my phone audio. It was really bad. But again, it did all right at the time, for someone that had like less than 100 followers. But you got to start somewhere. And if I hadn't have kept going and being consistent with it and persistent as well, I wouldn't be where I am. So I don't know how I've managed to get to touring Europe, but it's incredible and it's extremely lucky. I'm very fortunate. And that's a dream come true, honestly.
How comfortable are you with the day-to-day? This is the one thing that I guess I've asked this to a few musicians at different points in their career. So a few years in, 30 years in, does it that thing of, well, I'm okay at the moment and I've got something for the next 2 months, but then I don't know what I'm going to do after that. At what point are you, because I have a phrase that I'll always say, just believe in the process. If you've got a process that's working, then you have to trust it.
Yes, absolutely.
And once you start trusting the process, you tend to find actually that everything does work the way you hope it will work out. And you're nodding at that, which suggests that you agree with that, because I guess
Totally.
otherwise you would be really worried, almost going almost constantly.
Everywhere. Yeah, it's not healthy to be like that. I mean, I think, yeah, I've had months where I've had nothing on. That's being truthful, and I think that's the reality of being a self-employed person, not just a musician, but even my partner, there's a photographer and videographer, he experiences it too. And it's across all creative industries. And I think that the trust the process thing is so real. And I think it's okay to be comfortably uncomfortable. You can be worried that you haven't got something this week, but you truly have to take it day by day. You cannot think in months when you're a musician or when you're self-employed. You have to just take it day by day. Okay, well, I haven't got a job. I haven't got a gig this Friday, for example. I mean, I do. But if I didn't, what can I do today that will make sure that I do have a gig next Friday or the Friday after that? Or I can ensure that I'm going to have something on this Friday. So, you reach out to a brand, or you pick up a pedal that you bought and you make a video for it and you just jamming on it. Join some Facebook groups, sign up to some, freelance gigs, Facebook groups, group chats on WhatsApp. There's so many things you can do that, even if it's the most minuscule step that you think, what's joining a Facebook group gonna do? You have no idea who's in that Facebook group because there's like thousands of members. You don't know what that one little step is gonna do that will cause a massive domino effect in the rest of your career. You just never know. So you have to take it day by day when you're a musician and just be comfortably uncomfortable and use that discomfort to throw you in the right direction.
So, how many bands are you actually in right now?
That's a really good question. I actually don't. There's been parts where I've been, playing like 2 or 3 in a month. I mean, literally this weekend, I've got 3 different gigs with 3 different bands in the space of 2 days. And then sometimes I'll be playing in 1 month for 15 different bands. 15 different projects, whether it's session work. Last week I was playing gospel music in a studio for someone in Birmingham who was in church, and then straight after that I was playing on kids' nursery rhymes, and then this Friday I'm going to be doing a pop gig, and then on Saturday I'm doing an indie gig in the afternoon, and then a rock metal gig in the evening. So it's like you're constantly playing different genres, and you have to broaden your horizons, to be honest. You have to be willing to play literally anything, even if it is kids' nursery rhymes. They could be quite fun, I actually had a great time.
I don't want to drop a name, but I went for a curry with Dan Hawkins from The Darkness.
Nice.
And he said he'd earned more money doing the CBBC music than he'd ever earned in The Darkness.
Yeah, honestly, session work like that is where it's at, to be honest. And it's really fun. You just have to be open-minded about it. I could sit there and be like, ugh, I'm playing a kid's nursery rhyme. How demoralizing. Like, no, at the end of the day, I did it on my lovely custom Spectre that I've got sat there. I brought this really fancy, expensive bass along to do this hilariously easy session, and I got paid nicely for it. Like, that's an amazing scenario. I was in the studio for approximately half an hour because it was so quick to learn. Like, I got paid for half an hour's work. Like, you have to just think about the positives in those scenarios. But yeah, it's, again, just taking it day by day. You never know what you're going to be asked to do.
I think that's really, I think it's lovely, because to have that mindset now, which feels more like the mindset of somebody who would have been doing it for 15, 20 years. Because when you're 15 and 20 years in, you do stop. You probably will stop worrying. And at that point, if somebody says to you, trust the process, you'll be like, yeah, no, I get that. Makes perfect sense. But to get it relatively quickly is really nice and really healthy. Because actually, and I think the other thing that's come across that's really healthy is your relationship with your art, your relationship with the things that you do. There's a positivity around your relationship with all of those different projects. You don't grade them, you don't put them into lists, you're treating them all exactly as they are.
Yeah.
And that to me feels like the mindset you would need to be able to do this for a long time. And of course, it's not for me to know because A, I've never done it, and B, I never will do it. But the point is, when you look at people who are able to sustain things for long periods of time, they keep the love of the thing that they're doing. You know, Tiger Woods will still hit golf balls when he's not hitting golf balls in front of people.
Absolutely, yeah. You're totally right. You have to constantly remind yourself why you're doing it in the first place. Why did I start this? And I think I've done a good job in my journey of this career, in that I started this by simply recording covers of all my favourite songs. That is the foundation. And then before that, I had all those favourite songs and I was listening to them on the bus to school or something, and I would actively listen to them thinking, you know, what would it be like to play those live? You know, could I imagine playing to stadiums of people? Actually, I kind of could. And you then start posting these covers in hopes that one day you'll maybe be in a band that you can play songs like this to stadiums of people. And if not, will I be playing for someone that is playing to stadiums of people? And, you know, you have to remember what you started on, why you started, or I guess more than why you started, what you started on is more important in my opinion. I started on the foundations of recording rock covers, so therefore I enjoy playing other people's music. So therefore I can do session work and I can grade it equally because I love playing other people's music. Someone gives me a song, I'll play bass on it. I'll write a bass line, or if you've already got a pre-written one, I'll play your pre-written one. But I love to learn music, listen to music. I don't care what form it's in. And I think it's important to have that mindset so you can do this for as long as you want to do it. And I'd love to do this for the rest of my life. I've had a blast in the last 5 years. And obviously there's downsides, you know, gigging, touring for long periods of time. You get sick on tour, and it can be cold in the winter, and you're shivering while you're gigging, and there's loads of little bumps in the road, but ultimately they make really funny stories as well. And you look back on it and you're like, yeah, it's part of the process, it's fine, because I'll do a nice summer gig next year and I'll be sweating on stage instead of shivering, and, you know, don't know which one I prefer at that point, so we'll see.
Well, I think that's a lovely place to stop, and thank you, obviously. Thank you for finding some time to talk to us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
There's just, and I've said it before, but there's just something about the way you've described what you've described that is so positive and so hopeful.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That's really nice to hear, actually, because I just try and, I think you can only ever be positive. Like, if you're constantly negative and thinking about the downsides of your career and, you know, the what ifs, you're going to hold yourself up in some way or another. And if you are thinking what ifs and you're quite pessimistic, you can still find ways to push yourself, even if it's for the wrong reasons. You shouldn't be pushing yourself because you hate something or whatever, but, you know, like I said, just taking little steps and forcing yourself into those positions and to better positions, everyone can really benefit from.
Lovely. Right, well, hopefully we'll see you at the guitar show, the bass show. Is that right, Jace?
Yes.
I'll be there for the bass show. And the guitar show.
Don't you get it wrong now, because I'll get into trouble. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for coming on the on 942. And Jace, I will catch up with you as and when.
Yeah, and just quick thanks to Rob from Barnes and Mullins for sorting this out for us.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Rob. You're a legend.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Thanks for listening to 9 to 42, the podcast from the team at the Guitar Show UK. If you've enjoyed the show, then please remember to hit the subscribe button and share with other like-minded souls. For more information about 9 to 42, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram at the Guitar Show UK. This has been an A Short Stories production.